So here's a little secret. Don't tell anybody, okay? I won't post it on social media except TikTok and YouTube. The reason I said on the earlier video that I don't talk about my spiritual life, I'm leading a double life because I don't tell people about the amazing experiences I have. The one I mostly don't tell people about is Kundalini, because who's going to understand that? Much earlier in my life, I got exposed to the work of Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. Later took the name of Osho after the armed standoff at his compound out in Washington. Got him so much bad press. And the word is really that it was his right-hand woman who was the militarist who got them all armed. And he was the spiritual guy and the big picture guy, and he handed off the operations to someone who was not at his spiritual level at all, and probably not the right person at all. Well, I came real close to getting exposed to him. I had been very influenced by his books. Probably, I guess I was not in Chicago, but I was reading his books, and very deep, he's quite the brain, and penetrated into a lot of spiritual truths. And central was the low road to higher consciousness. Deal with your aggression and your sexuality. But he had it wrong. He did. As far as I know, now I've never studied him deeply. Maybe I'm missing the boat. But my impression is that he was saying, if you get that shit out of your system, then you are peaceful and you can go into the spiritual realms. My take is that those are the pathways into spirit. That sexuality and anger are huge, deep, powerful human sources of power. Freud knew it, and knew that us humans were not dealing with it and swiping that under the rug, suppressing our anger and our lust, our sexuality. And I think we're still in that same boat. The middle class norms. And some of the ways we've gotten so politically correct, where like in the US, a man can't even give a woman a physical compliment because it makes him sexist. The women have gotten so icy, so rigid around sexuality. It's not that way in Mexico. You never have to worry about giving a Latino woman a physical compliment. The worst that'll happen is she'll get shy and blush, but they like it. So, is it crazy to say, yeah, I'm in the lineage of Osho, but I've taken it further? And I think I have. Because I am embracing the power of sexuality and the power of aggression, none of which were encouraged in my lower middle class Irish Catholic upbringing. No. Started with punching a guy. It still floors people when I say, yeah, a big step for me was punching that guy Alan. I had never thrown a punch, never been a fighter, but he insulted my black friend, Eric. And Eric was a fighter and wanted to beat him up, but Eric is on parole and has done time in penitentiary for beating somebody up. He's a big, strapping, very strong guy and powerful fighter. And somewhat on the street, infamous fighter. People will try to set up situations to watch him fight, but he's traumatized around it. He doesn't want to do it. He's a beautiful heart. It's not how he wants to operate. And he had a big gig that weekend. He needed not to go to jail. And after fumbling around for what we could do to keep him from going to jail, I said, I'm going to beat Alan up. And we both laughed about that. But I didn't successfully beat him up, but I did corner him in the parking lot and insult him big time. And apparently landed a punch. So when the cops took my story and I said, it's a terrible fight. Two fat old guys. We didn't know how to fight. Nobody landed a punch. And the lovely lady, Asheville cop says, He says you hit him. He's got a red mark. I said, really? Because I knew that was the key. Because Eric had been watching all of it out of my 5th floor window. And if nothing happened, he still might have felt the need to finish the job. But having seen me, and he never stopped tiring of the story of saying, that white man, never has a white man gone to jail for me. And I went to jail for all of 3 hours to get booked and stuff, then released. Cop said, on the way downtown to get me booked, said, let me get this straight. You punched that guy so that your black friend wouldn't, because you figured the justice system would go easier on you. And I said, yeah, bingo, that's what I did. And in the squad car, she says, awesome, good work. Because cops understand physical violence, that sometimes is necessary. So it was a big turning point. And so I've gotten tough. I've gotten unafraid. Will stand up to any man and summon a force that scares them. In a pinch, I can do that. Without trying, it moves through me. So Kundalini. Sam was the first of now 7 homeless women who I've taken into the van to just let them sleep it off and get out of the cold, and never any sex. They've all been too traumatized, too fragile. Most of them just needing to sleep. But Sam was with me for 10 days. And although she was traumatized and a user, when she was straight, she was funny and smart and so saucy. Like all of 23, you know? But she loved to turn me on. She loved to play with her sexual energy. And there was a game between us, and it was fun. It was affirming to her, and it was fun for me. But one night in the van, I was masturbating. And she wakes up in the back of the van. I was letting her sleep in the back of the van. She says, what are you doing? I'm masturbating. Don't do that. Well, you can't stop me. And I had a little orgasm and then came for an hour. My body rocked and rolled with Kundalini energy for an hour, and it has continued. So the reason I'm talking about it now was because after I'd gotten slowed down and was sitting here at this beautiful bench, having shot a couple of tapes about how slow I'm getting, I noticed afterwards that my body was rocking and rolling. And I'm a dancer and dance 24/7, my body always moving. So I was an easy target for the Kundalini to take over. So from that day in the van, I have access to Kundalini energy. And it can come from dancing, it can come from having a cigarette, it can come from sexual fantasy, come from masturbating. I've learned, life has taught me exquisitely how not to use women for sex, and I won't do that. Scrupulously, exquisitely respect their needs and won't try to do anything that's not what they want. So it's kept me celibate still for a long time, that's the whole story. So it's the tantric path. I seem to be on the tantric path of tapping the Kundalini energy, rising it through the body, using it to take your energy higher. That's what's been going on. So I don't talk about that. No, don't talk about that. But this morning, it was happening big time. My body rocking and rolling, moving with, it's like a thick syrup through my veins and through my energetic system, moving me, taking me, surrendering to the power of spirit, power of nature, power of my own body. So don't tell anybody, okay? Just our secret. You and me and my 850 TikTok followers and my, I think, 22 YouTube subscribers. No, it's our secret. Yeah. Although I would like the New York Times to cover it. Maggie Haberman. It was my dream for months. Maggie Haberman is going to snap up my story. But she covers the White House, so it's not really her beat. But she'll say, hey, get so-and-so on this. That's our spirit person at the times.